Residents northeast of Oklahoma City are saying a loud, shrill noise.
A mysterious sound heard through parts of Fort Greene, Brooklyn has been driving some people, we are told, crazy.
Yeah.
This modern world that we thought was so solid and secure is shaking in ways that science just can't explain anymore. From big cities full of lights to quiet little towns out in the country, strange things are popping up one after another, like an invisible power knocking on the door, warning us that mankind has stepped way too close to the final line. Matthew 24, verses 3 through 14, talked about wars, famines, and earthquakes. But what we're seeing today goes far beyond ordinary disasters. These are supernatural signs, calls coming from heaven that nobody can ignore. Do you feel it too? Like something big is getting real close? Like time itself has gotten heavy and the whole world is holding its breath? Nature isn't just changing, it's groaning. The ground moves like it's alive. The deep ocean is throwing up shapes nobody's ever named. The sky is making sounds like trumpets from another kingdom. And all of this is happening right here in America. 7 different things, from the sea to the land, from the sky down to the depths, aren't just random pieces. They're connected, like echoes of prophecy, like the heartbeat of the last days. What we're about to look at isn't just news, it's evidence. Evidence that the words of the Bible are coming alive in the 21st century, not fading away, but shining bright in a way that's both mysterious and downright scary. The whole point of this video is to open each one of these doors, line them up with scripture, answer the doubters, and then put the full picture together so you can answer one question for yourself. How much time do we really have left? So please, don't skip over any of these signs. All right, let's jump in and look at them one by one. We'll start with 1. The land across the western states and Texas is starting to breathe. It all started real quiet-like, the way a long-held breath finally slips out from deep down. Out in California, then Oregon, and clear down into Texas, folks and engineers started saying the same thing. The ground was swelling up and then sinking back down, steady as clockwork, like something huge underneath was trying to wake up. No earthquakes, no warnings on the seismographs, but roads shifted a few inches overnight. Sounds crazy, but the cracks in house foundations around San Francisco and the weird sinking patches out in rural Texas told a different story. Places that hadn't budged in decades, from the Pacific coast all the way to the dry inland areas, were suddenly acting like some invisible hand was bending the rules of geology. Surveyors measured it and found the ground moving in rhythm, not random at all, more like the planet's own heartbeat. Animals went nuts, dogs barking straight down at the dirt, cattle running off from fields they'd known their whole lives. Some folks swore that when they stood still, they could feel warm air pushing up through their shoes, like the earth itself was breathing. There's something about it that'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. It's not just strange, it feels like one of those old warnings straight out of the Bible. In Isaiah chapter 24, right before verse 19, it talks about the earth being broken and torn open like a curtain at the end. Then verse 19 hits like thunder across the centuries. The earth is utterly broken apart. The earth is split open. The earth is violently shaken. When people watch the ground rising and falling, like a body taking its last breaths, they start whispering, "Is this what Isaiah saw coming?" It's not just Isaiah. Over in Romans chapter 8, before verse 22, Paul talks about all creation being like a living body, waiting to be set free from decay. Then verse 22 fits what we're seeing perfect. For we know that the whole creation groans and labors with birth pangs together until now. San Francisco, Texas, the whole West, it's turned into the picture of that groaning, that long, tired sigh of a world waiting for judgment. And in Joel chapter 2, right before verse 10, there's the warning about the final army coming. Verse 10 says, "Before them the earth quakes, the heavens tremble. When the ground across America starts moving, not from earthquakes, but from this breathing, folks suddenly realize those words weren't just for reading. They were meant to wake us up. Some try to say it's just groundwater pressure or side effects of climate change, but the scientists themselves shake their heads. No model explains something this big happening in perfect sync, and none of them can account for a rhythm that looks intelligent. This isn't something man-made, and it sure isn't any ordinary natural event. You and I both know, sometimes the Lord doesn't speak in words. He speaks through the ground moving under our feet. This is a warning about how fragile everything really is. Even the things we thought we had under control. One breath from the earth, and it all starts to sway. And when the land itself starts coming alive, the only question left is, what's next? To find that answer, we've got to look out toward the ocean, because there's an even bigger sign waiting out there. 2. A strange sea monster, Leviathan, shows up off the Pacific Ocean. Out in the cold morning fog off the California coast, a bunch of fishermen thought they were just watching dark waves rolling across the Pacific. Then the water ripped open, and this huge black shape rose up from way down deep. Their cameras were shaking bad, not from rough seas, but because their hands wouldn't stop trembling once they realized whatever was coming up didn't look like any creature folks had ever seen before. A real sea monster, so long you couldn't see both ends at once, stretching out like it was measuring their boat. This part of the ocean is famous for mile-deep trenches and lots of earthquakes, but nobody, not even the ocean scientists, ever talked about something hundreds of feet long with shiny metal-like scales catching the gray morning light. Its tail slapped the water once, sending white-capped waves around their little boat. But the thing that really sent chills down their spines wasn't the size. It was the head slowly coming out of the water, long, sharp teeth like tusks, and black eyes that looked right through you, like it could see straight into your soul. It didn't attack, didn't roar, didn't smash the boat. It just looked. Not the look of a wild animal, but something that knew what it was doing, like it had a reason. The creature circled their boat 3 times, slow, on purpose, like it was checking them out, weighing something, or maybe trying to tell them something we haven't figured out yet. Some of the fishermen later said the moment its eyes met theirs, they felt a voice inside their head. No words, just a feeling. Not a threat, a warning. A lot of folks have heard the name Leviathan from old stories, but only after watching the video again did it really hit home. In Isaiah chapter 27, right before verse 1, the Bible talks about the day the Lord punishes the twisting creature in the deep sea. Then verse 1 says, "In that day the Lord shall punish Leviathan the piercing serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea." Those words didn't feel far away anymore when you saw that giant thing quietly rise up from the bottom of the Pacific. In Job chapter 41, right before verse 1, it says, "No human power can tame Leviathan." Then verse 1 asks straight out, "Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook?" Throwing down a challenge to human pride. Watching something that huge on the video, that question feels like a sharp reminder. Some things only God can control. And in Psalm 104, verse 26 says, "There go the ships, there is that Leviathan, whom thou hast made to play therein." When this Leviathan swam beside their boat, not hurting anything, just watching, it really did look like it was playing, exactly the way the Bible described. Scientists want to say it's just some unknown deep-sea whale, but the size is way beyond what biology says is possible. The metal scales, the aware eyes, the deliberate behavior. No. And the video can't be completely faked when you've got dozens of angles from different phones and cameras on the same boat. And you know, sometimes God doesn't use thunder or earthquakes to get our attention. He uses creatures from the deepest parts of the ocean, places man can't reach. Leviathan isn't just a sea creature. It's a picture of power we can't measure. A reminder that chaos can rise up anytime he says it's time. And right after Leviathan showed up, people started hearing strange sounds from the sky. A sound like trumpets Opening the third sign, 3. The trumpet sound from the sky. Nobody in California thought that quiet evening would turn into a moment that made thousands of people would never forget. It started with one long, metallic note echoing way up in the sky. Then came a second one, a third, like the slow breath of some huge, invisible trumpet hanging in the air. Just minutes later, folks in Nevada and Texas recorded the exact same thing. It was as if the whole sky was sounding one strange signal that nobody had ever heard before. The videos spread like wildfire. Big cities, suburbs, open fields, deserts. Everywhere you looked, the same deep, sharp, powerful sound. Experts said the air pressure was acting weird that day, but even they couldn't explain why the volume, loud enough to make windows shake a few inches in their frames. Old glass panes in Texas rattled against the wood like they were nervous, and out on a ranch in Nevada, horses bolted from their stalls like something invisible was chasing them. People didn't just hear it, they felt it in their chests, in their ribs, like an unseen hand giving the whole world a shake. An old lady in California told the news with a shaky voice. It felt like somebody up there was calling our name. And just imagine, you're standing there, you hear that. Would you brush it off? Or would you feel something holy hiding inside that bone-chilling sound? In 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, right before verse 16, the Bible talks about the day the Lord comes back with a sound that fills the heavens. Then verse 16 says, plain as day, for the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a trumpet call of God. That trumpet isn't man-made. It's heaven's own wake-up call. And the crazy part? What people heard across America sounded exactly like a real trumpet, just like the Bible described thousands of years ago. In Revelation chapter 8, before verse 6, it talks about 7 angels getting ready to start the final events. Verse 6 says the angels prepared themselves to sound. When California, Nevada, and Texas all heard those trumpet blasts at the same exact time, a lot of folks took it as a warning bell for what's coming next. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, right before verse 52, it talks about the moment everything changes for good. Verse 52 says, at the last trumpet, we will be changed. When that sound went on for minutes and carried hundreds of miles, people started wondering, was this the first trumpet or a friendly reminder to get ready for the last one? Of course, you know there were plenty of folks arguing the other side. They said it was just atmospheric sound waves bouncing around the stratosphere, or factory noise echoing off thick clouds. But those explanations fall apart when you realize thousands of regular people in 3 different states, under totally different weather, all recorded the same clear, rhythmic, metallic trumpet at the exact same moment. No natural phenomenon does that. Those sky trumpets didn't just rattle windows and scare animals. They rattled souls. It was like the heavens were saying, time's running out. The final call is closer than you think. And when the sound finally faded away, one chilling question stayed behind in the minds of everyone who heard it. If this wasn't the sign, then what on earth are we still waiting for? 4. A lot of people report seeing angels, pillars of light, and heavenly singing inside churches. While the whole country was still rattled by those trumpet sounds coming from the sky, something else started happening in churches across Northern California, quieter, but just as jaw-dropping. During regular prayer meetings, folks who were on their knees looking for comfort suddenly saw pillars of light appear right in front of them. It'd start as a faint glow, then stretch up into a straight column a few feet tall, giving off a soft light like morning mist, yet strong enough to make the whole room go dead silent. A bunch of people said that inside that light they could make out the shape of an angel, wings spread wide like an invisible shield, body glowing like hot metal. The amazing part? Nobody felt scared. Instead, a deep peace washed over them, the kind where it feels like your heart is being held by a gentle but rock-solid hands. You ever had a moment when your soul just settled, like somebody picked you up and you felt totally safe? If you have, you'll get why these folks say they'll never forget it. In those same prayer meetings, singing would start up out of nowhere, not from the speakers, not from the choir, but straight out of the air. Clear, high voices, echoing like dozens of souls, all joining in a song nobody down here had ever heard before. One lady in San Jose started crying and said, "I didn't just hear it. I felt like they were singing right to me." And maybe you're probably wondering, if you'd been standing there, would you have dared to look up? The Bible talks about this stuff plain as day. In Psalm 91, right before verse 11, God promises to take care of anybody who runs to him for cover. Then verse 11 says, "For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways." Angels aren't fairy tales. They're real beings sent to watch over us. In Hebrews chapter 1, just before verse 14, it explains what angels do. Then verse 14 asks, "Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister?" When people in California saw those glowing figures, a lot of pastors figured it was God stepping in personally during all the chaos. In Matthew 18, right before verse 10, Jesus talks about how much every single soul matters. Verse 10 says, "Their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven." That's why plenty of folks believe those pillars of light and that singing weren't just signs, they were protection. Of course, some people still doubt it. They say it was mass hysteria, tricks of the light, or just folks getting emotional during prayer. But the reports came from different churches, completely separate groups, and every single one described the same thing. The light, the wings, the song. Hallucinations don't line up that perfectly. Believe it or not, those pillars of light carried a real clear message. God hasn't stepped out of the picture. He's right in the middle of it, sending his angels into our dark days. And if the angels are already showing up, what's going to happen next? 5. Flash floods, just like the Texas disaster, are happening again with the very same weird pressure pattern. You know, these past few days, while everybody's still looking up at stuff going on in the sky, the ground has opened a whole different chapter. Sudden, terrifying flash floods slamming into Texas and parts of the Midwest. What gives you chills isn't just how strong the water is. It's the exact same strange pressure pattern that caused the big Texas disaster years back, repeating now with scary accuracy. It's way too close to call it a coincidence. Texas, and a lot of those dry, windy places that hardly ever see rain, suddenly get hit with air pressure dropping like a rock in just a few hours. That pulls in thick clouds and rain that comes down like someone turned on a giant faucet up there. Areas that were cracked and baked from drought turn into raging rivers in minutes. Folks don't even have time to figure out what's happening before the water's up several feet, pouring over roads and sweeping away miles of highway like it's nothing. The feeling isn't just surprise. It's that deep, uneasy confusion the Bible talks about in Luke 21:25. Distress of nations with perplexity. The sea and the waves roaring. When those walls of water come roaring across the land, you can't help but think this is more than weather. It hits that old Bible memory about the warnings before the great flood. Matthew 24:37 says it plain. As the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Sure, meteorologists have their scientific explanations. Climate change, unusual moisture, hot and cold air smashing together, all that makes sense. But the people paying close attention are asking, why do these floods keep matching, not just kind, but exactly the same pressure pattern, the same rain setup, the same speed of rise? One match you can shrug off. 2 in a row feels odd. But 4 or 5 times with the same signature in the sky? That starts feeling like an unseen hand writing on history's page. Psalm 93:3 says, "The floods have lifted up, O Lord. The floods lift up their waves." When you hear that water roaring down Texas streets, it's hard not to picture those words. Like a knock on the door, reminding us that water has always stood for both cleansing and judgment. And if Texas, that tough, proud country, has to bow to the flood, the message hits even harder. These floods aren't just causing damage. They're stirring up something deep in our spirit, They take us back to Noah's time, when people thought they had nature all figured out, until the water rose and nothing they built could stop it. These floods happening again today feel like a warning that's gentle but firm, strong but not cruel, saying history never repeats for no reason. And maybe, just maybe, this is the first quiet call. Don't forget what we were told long ago. 6. Strange, straight bolts of lightning, falling from a huge gray cloud like swords of judgment. Nobody knows exactly when it started. People just remember that one day the sky over the west suddenly turned dark, like someone had pulled a heavy gray curtain across half the heavens. Out of that giant cloud bank that covered everything, no rain, no strong wind, just thick ash-gray color. Perfectly straight lightning bolts started dropping to the ground like long swords of fire, miles long. They didn't branch out or spread fingers the way normal lightning does. They came down in one clean line, like what folks call bolts of judgment. The sound wasn't regular thunder either. It was more like a deep, muffled explosion that rolled through the ground and made the earth shake a little. Some places felt a light tremor, and a lot of folks thought they'd just had a small earthquake. The strangest part? The whole thing happened in completely dry air. No rain, no storm. Just tense, heavy silence all around, like nature was holding its breath before swinging those swords of light. Seeing it made a lot of people think of the book of Revelation. Revelation 4-5 says, "And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices. Those dead straight bolts coming from one spot way up high felt like something not of this world. They didn't look like regular electrical discharges. They looked like signs, almost like a warning written in white fire across the sky. The noise after each bolt sounded like heaven's drum, and folks couldn't help remembering Psalm 77:18. The voice of thy thunder was in the heaven. The earth trembled and shook. When the ground out west gave a little shake after the strongest ones, more than a few whispered they'd just seen a small taste of Revelation 16:18, where lightning, thunder, and earthquake all show up together as signs of the day of judgment. Of course, scientists can offer explanations. Built-up static in dry clouds, unusual atmospheric conditions, or really strong dry lightning. But even the experts get quiet when they see how perfectly straight they were. No branches, no rain at all. Nobody can quite explain why they feel so on purpose, like swords of fire dropped straight from the highest heaven. From a Bible point of view, the West has always been wild country, where folks stand face to face with the raw power of God's creation. Maybe that's why these strange bolts carried extra weight this time. They weren't just weather. They were a reminder that lightning has always stood for judgment, fast, straight, and impossible to dodge. And if you ever stand under one of those bolts yourself, you'll probably ask the same question. Is this just another storm? Or is something trying to tell us something bigger? You feel it in your gut. Sometimes a person's heart knows the truth before science catches up. We'll keep walking through these signs together and see if they're all part of the same bigger story. 7. A giant sinkhole opens up in the countryside, with straight-up flames shooting out, a swirling smoke pillar, and strange metallic sounds coming from inside. There are moments that'll stop even the calmest folks dead in their tracks and make you wonder if what you're seeing is real or something way beyond this world. That's exactly what happened out in the rural Midwest the other day. Picture this, a quiet field, nothing out of the ordinary. Then all of a sudden the ground acts like it's trying to take a breath. It started right after that weird trumpet sound faded from the sky. Folks said the earth gave a little shake, like a guitar string pulled tight. Then, in the blink of an eye, the ground split open in a long crack and collapsed into a huge sinkhole, hundreds of feet across. You could feel the heat on your face even from far away. But the size wasn't the scariest part. What really gave people chills was what came out of it. Tall flames shot straight up from deep down, twisting and spinning like something invisible was steering them. Thick black smoke swirled into a giant funnel, going up into the sky. And the strangest thing of all was the metallic noise echoing from way down below. not like machines, not like anything natural, but a steady, almost deliberate rhythm, almost like it was answering the trumpet sound we'd heard earlier. I'm telling you, if you'd been standing there, the hair on the back of your neck would have stood up too. A lot of folks right away thought of Revelation chapter 9, when the fifth angel blows the trumpet and the bottomless pit is opened. And he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace. The sun and the air went dark from the smoke. What used to sound like just pictures in the Bible suddenly felt awfully real. The peaceful Midwest, of all places, looking like the gate to the abyss, the place Scripture calls Abaddon or Apollyon. Sure, some scientists tried to explain it away. Maybe methane gas built up underground and caught fire when it hit the air. But can methane make steady metallic sounds? Can it push fire up in perfect spinning columns like somebody's controlling it? Every single person who saw it said the same thing. That wasn't natural. It knew what it was doing. And when dozens of people from different spots all say the exact same thing, it's hard to call it imagination. So that sinkhole out in the Midwest isn't just some regular geological accident anymore. It feels like a warning, a sign that doors are opening between this world and the one the Bible talked about long ago. If the first 6 strange things were calls from the sky, this one was the answer from down below, reminding us that judgment doesn't only come from above. It can come from the depths we've tried so hard to forget. We just went through 7 strange events that scientists can't explain. Which one stuck with you the most? And do you think these are warnings from the Lord? When you look back at all 7 of these things happening in just a few short days, something jumps out that nobody noticed when they were standing alone. They're all coming together like one big symphony of the end times, put together so perfectly that it can't possibly be random. The ocean roaring like the Leviathan waking up, the ground heaving like it's breathing, the sky blasting an invisible trumpet, lightning striking straight down like a flaming sword, floods rising just like in Noah's day, angels showing up in bright white light, and finally a huge burning sinkhole opening up like the pit itself. Each one by itself is strange, but put them together and you can't miss it. A story is writing itself right in front of the whole world. If you've watched this far, I bet you feel that same hurried heartbeat in these events, like time itself is getting squeezed. From the deep ocean where Leviathan stands for chaos, to the earth cracking under our feet, from strange noises pouring out of the sky with no source, to straight down lightning with no storm, from floods following the exact old pattern, to heavenly guards appearing in the light, and then that fiery, bottomless sinkhole. Everything is playing like instruments in one giant orchestra. The question is, who's conducting this thing? And why does every single note line up perfectly with what the Bible laid out thousands of years ago? In Matthew 24-29:3-1, it says, "Right after the trouble of those days, the sun will be darkened, and he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call." Those aren't vague words. They match exactly what we've just seen. Sky going dark, trumpet sounding, angels showing up in bright light. Put it all side by side, and these aren't random events anymore. They're one long trail of signals connecting heaven and earth. In Revelation chapters 6-9, the seals get opened. Then the trumpets start blowing, and every trumpet brings something earth-shaking. The third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven. The fourth angel sounded, and a third of the sun was struck. Cleansing, lightning, oceans screaming, fire pouring out of the pit. It's like the pages of the book came alive and walked into real life. Honestly, the more I type this, the more the hair stands up on my arms. You feeling that too? Or is it just me, watching these pieces snap together, tighter and tighter? And then Romans 8:19-22 says the whole creation is waiting on tiptoe. We know that the whole creation has been groaning, as in the pains of childbirth, right up to the present time. It's not just people waiting for the end. The oceans, the land, the sky, the waters, everything is groaning and going into labor. What we're seeing is nothing less than the first pains of something brand new being born. When the Bible talks about birth pangs, that's a sign you can't turn around. Once the contractions start, what's coming is coming. whether anybody believes it or not. These 7 things, from the bottom of the sea all the way to the sky, are singing the same song. The hour is near. The restless ocean is the opening warning. The heaving ground is the cracking signal. The lightning is heaven's whip. The angels are the guards sent down. The floods are the Noah reminder. The trumpet in the sky is the angel's wake-up blast. And the burning pit is the final note, a door that won't hide what's rising anymore. We can argue about science, air pressure, geology, all day long, but we can't deny these things are showing up in the exact order, the exact cycle, the exact pattern that was prophesied. The scary part isn't any one event, it's the rhythm. They're happening like an unseen hand wants mankind to look up, wake up, and ask, "Are you ready?" That question doesn't make anybody panic. It just makes us take seriously what's passing right before our eyes. Pure coincidence that it follows the Bible's order? Hard to swallow. Mother Nature just happening to match Revelation's program? Even harder. Now that we step back and look at the whole picture, every scattered piece suddenly lights up. This is a warning, not some vague feeling, a loud knock that's getting louder on every door. The signs from the Lord aren't coming one by one anymore. They're coming fast and heavy, like a king drawing near, and every footstep makes the whole creation shake. Do you see it? Sometimes you just have to climb a little higher to see the picture you couldn't see down in the weeds. We're living in what the Bible calls the birth pangs, the hard labor right before the new age breaks through. Every sign is shouting, time is short, creation is crying out, heaven is signaling, earth is sounding the alarm, and God, the same one who spoke from the very beginning, is giving humanity one last clear warning. Wake up, because the hour is near. It's right at the door. And are you ready for what's coming? Looking back at the big picture, these 7 things, the earth groaning, Leviathan rising, trumpets sounding from the sky, angels showing up, floods coming back, lightning striking to cleanse, and sinkholes opening wide, are like steady drumbeats hitting humanity right in the chest. Any one of them by itself would be enough to give us chills, but when you put them all together, they tell a plain story. The last days are getting close. Can you feel that rhythm? It's like heaven and earth are speaking up, and every sound is another warning. What we're seeing isn't random. It's not just nature doing its thing. These are signs, wake-up calls to turn back to God and get ready for Judgment Day. The ground is moaning, the oceans are raging, the sky is shaking. Everything God made is part of the message. Nobody gets to sit this one out. And you, the one reading this right now, you're being invited to listen and wake up. Pray, put your trust in Him, and let your faith guide what you do every single day. Remember, every one of these events is a gentle reminder. Love people, forgive, share the good news, and live all out for your faith. When the trumpet blasts, when angels appear, when the pit opens, it's not to scare us for no reason. It's to get our hearts ready, to turn every one of us toward the Lord, where real hope and salvation are. You might ask yourself, what am I going to do with these warnings? The answer is simple. Act on them and trust God. Right now, open your heart. Keep praying without stopping, and let the Lord's light show you the way. Go ahead and share this post. Hit like and subscribe so more folks can hear this wake-up call. Every like, every share, every subscription is a little reminder that we're not walking this road alone. Together we can stand strong through the storms, through the cries of creation, through all the signs of the end times. Let faith lead you and never let hope go out. And right now, drop a prayer in the comments for yourself, your family, the whole world. Let your faith be a light in the dark. God is watching. He's waiting. And every good thing we do gets noticed. Thank you for watching and for caring with your whole heart. Keep in mind that every sign, every event is really a loving warning. Time is short, but with God all things are possible. And we still have time to get ready, to pray, and to live fully in faith.
A well-known pastor says that 19-year-old Barron Trump is very close to accepting Jesus.
I was talking on the phone with Barron Trump at 12:30 at night one night. I thought I was hitting him with everything.
Let's quickly shift gears. We're seeing the First Lady and the President walk out for this national...
President Trump signed an executive order to launch the task force on anti-Christian bias.
During an Easter dinner at the White House, he mentioned the task force.
Well, Christians, for whatever reason, don't vote very much,
Throughout America's history, religion, especially Christianity, hasn't just been a belief. It's been the lifeblood that shaped this country. From George Washington praying on his knees in the snow at Valley Forge to the dream of building a nation with God at the center, America has always seen itself as that city on a hill whose light has to shine in a dark world. Matthew 5:14 puts it plain and simple. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. But right now, in the middle of all the chaos of our modern times, something quiet but powerful is happening. A series of things President Donald Trump has done between 2024 and 2025 is sparking a deep spiritual awakening. Can you feel it? There's something moving underneath the surface, like history is repeating itself in a way a lot of folks never saw coming. When you look in the Bible, the picture of Cyrus the Great in Isaiah 45 stands out clearer than ever. A pagan king, not one of God's people at all, yet God called him his anointed to set his people free from Babylon. Do you see the strange parallel? A very worldly leader shows up right on time, and God uses him at a critical moment in the story of faith. In this video, we're going to walk through 4 big things, from Barron Trump's own faith journey to the rise of a nationwide movement to protect Christianity, each one like a puzzle piece. And when those pieces come together, the truth gets real clear. Trump is stepping into the role of a modern-day Cyrus, an instrument God is using to get America ready for the last days when faith won't just be protected, it's going to blaze bright again. So don't skip over any of this, all right? And so you don't have to wait another second, come on with me as we dive into these brand new events that show America is stepping into a great turning point, getting ready to welcome the end times and required. Let's start with 1. Barron Trump and his personal faith journey. Can you believe it? While we were all fast asleep, in the thick darkness, when the whole U.S. was quiet, a surprise call at 12:30 a.m. caused a stir that religious and political watchers are still talking about non-stop. One call, but it opened up the chance for a spiritual turning point in America's most powerful family. According to Pastor Stuart Knechtel, who took the call himself, Barron Trump, Donald Trump's youngest son, is really close to declaring his Christian faith. The news hit like a bombshell, making folks wonder, what's really going on behind the Trump family doors? The key thing, this story came out right when America is dealing with a drop in faith among young people. Pew Research surveys show the number of young folks without religion jumped over 10% in just 15 years. So Barron, a big name in Gen Z, suddenly showing a hunger to seek God late in 2025, right after Trump's re-election win, isn't just family news anymore. It feels like a sign of a spiritual shift, popping up when American society is stuck in doubt and secular stuff. From what Pastor Knechtel shared on the George Yanko Show, the call came around December 4 to 6, 2025. From his NYU dorm in Washington, D.C., Barron, the 9-year-old guy who keeps a low profile and doesn't share much about his life, reached out on his own, starting a long chat full of sharp questions about the historical proof of Jesus. Barron wanted to know why thousands of Muslims in Africa are having supernatural dreams that lead them to Christian faith. And from the pastor, he asked with smart, genuine curiosity you don't see often. Knechtel, who has millions following him on TikTok and Instagram, called that talk a moment full of hope, where a young heart was brushing up against faith's edge. He said Barron got really drawn in hearing about explosive events in religion, times when God shows power through supernatural things. And to Knechtel, Barron's questions weren't just, casual wonder, but from a journey starting to unfold. Plenty of people right away connected to that famous Bible part in Isaiah 45:1, where God names Cyrus a foreign king and picks him as a tool for his plan. I'll take hold of his right hand and open doors before him with double gates. A guy not Jewish, not God's people, but chosen, pushed, and given a mission beyond what anyone expected. That picture has folks comparing Barron to a modern Cyrus, a young person God touches quietly amid the country's value crisis. Could it be through Barron that God is opening those double doors for Gen Z to come back to faith? Are those supernatural dreams in Africa no longer far-off tales, but echoing in an American young man's heart? Joel 2:28 once said, "In the last days, God will pour out his Spirit on everyone. Your sons and daughters will prophesy." When dreams from Africa reach a president's family member, many see it as a link in the global web God is quietly weaving. Still, not everyone greets this news with excitement. Some critics say Pastor Neckel's sharing might hurt Barron's privacy, and there's even talk that former First Lady Melania Trump isn't happy about the story spreading. Meanwhile, supporters of the pastor argue he just shared to boost community, faith, and American tradition from past presidents. From Eisenhower to Obama, always had famous pastors like Billy Graham along. Those mixed reactions make the story even more dramatic. But one thing's for sure, with Barron growing into a trusted face in his dad's campaign, his spiritual move, if it's real, could have a big impact on young Americans. And in the end, this event shines a light on Donald Trump, not just as a politician, but as a dad who built space for faith to grow in his family. A family touching millions, a faith that could spread like a chain reaction, and a 12:30 a.m. story making all of America and the global Christian community watch closely. If this is just the start, the biggest question is, what comes next? And could this be a sign that God is gearing up for bigger moves in America and for the generation at faith's crossroads? 2. Trump quotes the Bible at the national Christmas tree lighting. On a chilly December evening, when the Christmas lights were just starting to glow across Washington, something happened that made millions of Americans stop and take notice. On December 4, 2025, during the lighting of the national Christmas tree on the National Mall, an old tradition that goes back decades, President Donald Trump did something unexpected. Right there, on the national stage, he quoted the Bible. It wasn't just a regular holiday greeting. It wasn't a dry political speech. It was a Bible verse, spoken loud and clear like a wake-up call for the whole country. You could almost feel it in the air. Something bigger than politics was happening. America in 2025 was still carrying scars from the pandemic. The political fighting hadn't calmed down one bit, and people were more divided than ever. Folks were hoping this Christmas would finally bring the peace they'd been waiting for. In years past, a lot of the religious meaning had slowly been taken out of the holiday. Too much secular stuff, pushing faith to the side. But this year, Trump turned it around. He put faith front and center again and put Jesus right back where he belongs at Christmas. When the lights on that 30-foot tree came on, Trump stepped up to the microphone. His voice carried across the open mall, strong and steady, as he quoted Isaiah chapter 9, verse 2. "The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined." He didn't rush it. He let every word land. The huge crowd went wild, like they'd been waiting years to hear someone finally say it out loud. He went on to say that the birth of Jesus was the turning point of human history, a moment when darkness got pushed back, hope came alive, and mankind was given a light to follow. He talked about love, forgiveness, and coming together at a time when the country felt like it could snap with the smallest spark. It didn't feel like a regular tree lighting ceremony. It felt more like an old-fashioned revival meeting. Then, a lot of folks immediately thought of another verse, Isaiah 45:4. "For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. That's the part about Cyrus, the foreign king God named and used to use to bring his people back, even though Cyrus didn't know him. For people who watch spiritual things closely, hearing Trump quote scripture on national TV raised a quiet question. Could he be walking into a role? Something like that? In a messy America, where Christian values are under fire, and younger folks are walking away from faith, that great light from Isaiah 9-2 showed up right on time, like a reminder that light can still break through any darkness. People started saying, maybe Trump is being used to shine that light back on faith in America at a critical moment, the same way Cyrus once did. And when you heard him keep coming back to the word light that night, it didn't feel like just a Christmas speech. It felt like a spiritual message. Of course, not everybody loved it. Some said he was turning a cultural tradition into a religious stage for his own gain. But others fired right back. Presidents from Reagan to Bush quoted the Bible at big events too, and putting the religious meaning back into a holiday that started out religious is the most natural thing in the world. A lot of observers said the way Trump read Isaiah 9-2 didn't sound political at all. It sounded like a man who truly believes what he was saying. All the arguing just made the moment burn brighter. The more you think about it, the clearer it gets. Trump wasn't just talking about Christmas. He was talking about America and the light this country is desperate to see again in hard times. That night made him look less like just a politician and more like a leader carrying a spiritual weight, someone willing to put faith back in the spotlight in front of the whole world. When the ceremony ended and that huge tree lit up the night sky over Washington, a lot of people said they felt something holy. Some got chills. Others felt like a new door was opening. However you look at it, you can't deny that the moment Trump read Isaiah 9-2 grabbed everybody's attention. Like God himself was whispering, the light is coming back. In the end, that evening made one picture even sharper in a lot of Americans' minds. Trump isn't just a political leader anymore. To many, he's starting to look like a modern-day Cyrus, someone chosen to bring Christian values back in a shaky time in history. And here's the question for all of us. If this was only the second big moment like this, what's coming next? Are we ready to walk into that light? 3. Trump suddenly sets up a task force against anti-Christian bias. This whole thing happened right out in the open in Washington, D.C., on a quiet morning at the National Prayer Breakfast, February 6, 2025. Trump stood up and announced something hardly anybody saw coming. A federal task force created for one reason only: to fight bias against Christians we're facing inside the U.S. government itself. This wasn't some vague promise. It wasn't a "we'll look into it" kind of line. It was real. A real team, a real plan, a real unit. From that moment on, the Anti-Christian Bias Task Force was born. And for the first time in American history, a president said loud and clear he was ready to take on discrimination aimed straight at the faith. The decision didn't come out of nowhere. Just a few weeks earlier, Pastor William Barber had been handcuffed and arrested simply for praying in front of a federal building. That picture shook a lot of believers and woke up folks who'd been staying quiet. There were other cases too. Federal workers getting warned for reading their Bible on break. Some U.S. embassies putting limits on Christian volunteer groups. Little things, but enough of them to make people feel like something was slipping out of balance. And right in the middle of all that worry, Trump's announcement felt like the answer millions of folks had been waiting for. When he stepped up to the microphone, his voice was firm. We're going to make sure no believer gets treated unfairly in their own country. It wasn't just politics. It was a stand-up for what's right talk. 2 months later, on April 22nd, 2025, the task force held its first meeting at the Justice Department, led by Attorney General Pam Bondi. No big headlines, no drama. They just quietly started going through every corner of the federal government, State Department, VA, everywhere, looking for policies or actions that might be unfair to Christians, whether on purpose or by accident. They asked for internal reports, looked into complaints, and wrote new guidelines to keep things fair when it came to religion. A lot of folks were surprised to learn that most of the bias wasn't coming from outright hate. Sometimes it was just unclear rules, sloppy policies, or a wrong idea of what religious neutrality meant. But there were real cases too. Prayer groups kicked out of workplace programs. Soldiers told they couldn't have faith symbols in their own rooms. Christian organizations getting the runaround when they asked for permits. The task force took notes, studied the problems, and told agencies to fix it. Not to go on a witch hunt, but to bring back plain fairness. Of course, people started asking, is this going too far? Does Christians needing their own task force just stir up trouble? Some critics said there wasn't any real crisis, that it was all politics. But the simplest answer was in the reports themselves. When a problem is real, you need a real fix. And when the people getting hurt don't have a loud enough voice, giving them a way to be heard isn't favoritism, it's fairness. Besides, this task force isn't out arresting anybody or throwing people in jail. They're doing exactly what American law has always said is right, making sure every government office follows the Constitution and protects religious freedom. That approach didn't just calm a lot of worries, it set an example for the future, that government should be a safe place for faith, not a place that pushes faith to the side. In the middle of all this, folks kept coming back to Isaiah 45:13. I have raised him up in righteousness, and I will direct all his ways. He shall build my city, and he shall let go my captives, not for price nor reward. End quote. The picture of Cyrus, a foreign king God used to free his people, became a symbol of a leader who doesn't fit the usual mold. Cyrus wasn't a priest or a prophet, but he still broke invisible chains. A lot of believers see something similar here. Not perfect holiness, but the courage to tear down walls that were quietly closing in on religious freedom. If Cyrus built the city, then what Trump did feels like the same kind of thing, rebuilding the walls that protect people of faith in an age when faith gets misunderstood, mocked, or pushed out of public life. Creating this task force wasn't just paperwork, it was a clear statement. Faith doesn't have to be hidden. It doesn't have to ask permission to exist. Looking back, it's easy to see this moment was a turning point. While the world spins fast and America argues nonstop about morals, beliefs, and freedom, a leader standing up to protect faith felt like a deep breath in the middle of a storm. It reminded people that Trump isn't just playing politics. For many, he's become a symbol of protection in shaky times. So this event didn't just shine a light on a president defending the faith. It opened a door to see Trump in a biblical light, a modern-day Cyrus, raised up in righteousness to set God's people free from unseen pressures and lay the groundwork for whatever comes next. 4. The call to Christian voters at the conservative event. Big turning points don't always come with thunder and lightning. Sometimes they happen in the quietest way, just a stage, a big room, a few thousand folks sitting there waiting. But something in the air feels bigger than politics. You ever get that feeling? Hard to put into words, but you know you just saw something that went way past the surface? That feeling showed up on the afternoon of July 27th, 2024, in West Palm Beach, Florida. The Turning Point Action Believers Summit was supposed to be just another conservative get-together, one more stop on the election trail. Then Donald Trump walked out and said something that made everybody turn and look at each other. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good. When you heard that line, what hit you first? A little chill? Felt kind of strange? Or did it sound like encouragement, wrapped up like a prophecy? For millions of American Christians who've watched their faith get pushed aside, ignored, or flat out attacked in the culture wars these past 10 years, that sentence didn't sound like an attack on democracy the way a lot of critics claimed. It sounded like a promise. You won't have to worry anymore. We're gonna fix it. And this time we're fixing it for real. When only about 65% of Christian voters even bother to show up, that's what the Barna Group says. A line like that hits like a kick in the pants to wake up and do your duty. The cool part is, this moment fits right into the Bible story. Isaiah 45, verse 5 says, I am the Lord, and there is no other. I girded you, though you have not known me. God was talking to Cyrus, a king who wasn't even a believer. But God still put a belt on him, equipped him, and sent him out to do his work. Cyrus wasn't a prophet, wasn't even Jewish, but God picked him to free Israel and rebuild what had been torn down. If you look close at what Trump said, don't you see the same kind of thing? A regular political leader, not a pastor, not a preacher, talking in a way that promises fixing, order, and faith. Millions of Christians heard it and felt it in their gut, like God might be using him the same way he once used Cyrus. Of course, anything big gets people yelling. Plenty shouted, "Dictator, he wants to end elections. Dangerous." But right there at the same event, Trump explained he was talking about taking the worry off Christian voters, folks who feel the system always puts them on the losing side and never respects them. It was meant to lift them up, not scare them. It was a call to get out, vote, and believe your voice can actually change things. See the difference? This wasn't the same old political promise. It felt more like spiritual comfort, a way of saying America can still be healed. And a whole lot of Christians believe that healing only comes when the country turns back to Bible values. So that day, at the Believers Summit, wasn't just campaign stuff. It showed something deeper. Faith is moving back to the center of American politics. And if you follow what Trump has done from 2024 into 2025, quoting scripture at the Christmas tree lightings, setting up a task force against anti-Christian bias, calling Christians to vote, you see one clear thread running through it all: bringing faith back, protecting Christians, rebuilding America's spiritual foundation. Put the pieces together, and the picture is huge. It feels like God answering a nation that's lost in chaos. Division, violence, moral decay, and the rise of anti-religious feeling have a lot of believers thinking we're living in a spiritual dark night. But in Isaiah 45, God says he'll raise someone up, equip him, and guide his steps to finish what God planned. A lot of folks believe Trump is that someone for our time, not because he's perfect, nobody thinks that, but because God has always used imperfect people for big jobs. Not because he's the church, but because he's willing to stand where the church can't. Not because he's a saint, but because he's ready to fight for faith right in the middle of the political battlefield. So when he says, in 4 years you don't have to vote again, the point isn't the technical stuff. The point is the promise. Something big is coming. Something about order, restoration, and light after the dark. For people of faith, that moment wasn't just campaigning. It was a signal, a wake-up bell, a reminder that God is still working in history. And in these last days, Donald Trump looks a lot like a modern-day Cyrus, equipped, guided, and used to protect Christian faith and get America ready for whatever chapters the Bible has been talking about for thousands of years. We just looked at 4 events, and the latest news shows Trump and his administration making moves to protect believers and religion. I can't help wondering, is this just Trump acting on impulse, or is it God's hand arranging protection for his people before the final days? 4 things just happened. From Barron Trump suddenly standing up and talking about his faith, to Trump putting together a group of religious advisors, to him openly saying out loud, America needs God, and then all these moves that have the whole country watching. These aren't just random little news bits sitting by themselves. They're quietly clicking together, piece by piece, like gears you can barely hear, forming a much bigger, deeper picture that honestly gives you chills when you see it. It really feels like there's an unseen hand connecting the dots. And when the last dot gets connected, what shows up isn't just another political story. It's a story that comes straight out of the pages of Scripture. When you step back and look, there's one clear thread running through it all. Trump is playing a role that's way bigger than himself, bigger than politics, bigger than parties. It started on a personal level. That moment when 18-year-old Barron stood in front of thousands of people and said God is doing something in America. And now it's spreading to the whole nation as Trump brings pastors together to pray and try to get the country's moral foundation back on track. What he's saying doesn't sound like regular campaign talk anymore. It sounds like a call to come home to the faith that made America's soul what it is. This isn't the first time in the Bible that God used a regular, worldly leader to pull a nation back together. In Isaiah 45, there's this shocking example. Cyrus, a foreign king who didn't even belong to God's people. Yet God calls him my anointed one. Not because Cyrus was holy or perfect, he definitely wasn't, but because God wanted to use him as a tool. Isaiah writes God's words like this. Isaiah 45, I will take you by the right hand, Cyrus. I will open doors before you, and the gates will not be shut. In flows, see how wild that is? God grabs the hand of a king who doesn't even follow him just because he wants to finish what he started with his chosen people. Cyrus ended up being a leader who wasn't a pastor, wasn't a priest, wasn't God's man on paper, but he still acted like a firewall protecting God's people from total destruction. And now, with these four things happening one right after another around Trump, the Cyrus picture suddenly feels almost too close for comfort. Not because Trump is perfect, everybody knows he's not, but because it sure looks like God is using him the same way. A regular, sometimes controversial guy who's ending up standing between moral collapse and the faith foundation of an entire country. You feel it too, don't you? Things seem to be speeding up, and every new thing that happens is another piece sliding into place. An 18-year-old kid suddenly talks about God on a political stage. The country suddenly starts talking about prayer at the highest levels again. A former president suddenly finds himself turned into a national symbol of faith. This stuff isn't normal anymore. If you put that picture next to what's written in Revelation chapter 3, the connection gets even clearer. In Revelation 3:10, the Lord says, "Because you have kept my word and patiently endured, I will also keep you from the hour of trial that is going to come on the whole world to test those who live on the earth." That's a promise for any nation or group that holds on to God's word right to the end. It sounds like a warning, but it's also protection. If you keep my word, I'll keep you safe when the big test hits the whole planet. Put that verse over America today, a country that's been sliding away from Christian values for years, and you see why this religious awakening around Trump matters so much. Not because he's the savior, but because through him, a serious wake-up call is going out. Come back before it's too late. These four events are like quiet but clear alarm bells. They're saying America is being pulled back toward being that shining light of faith to the world again, just like a lot of pastors here have been prophesying for years. And if America holds on to that light, the promise in Revelation 3:10 can actually happen. God will cover this country when the worldwide storm hits. That's why Trump isn't the main character in the plan. God is. Trump is just the key tool God is using right now to turn things around. Maybe you're not quite ready to believe it. Maybe you've had a feeling for a long time that something bigger is going on. But when you look at the whole picture, when you put these four events together with Isaiah 45 and Revelation 3, it stops feeling like coincidence. It feels like a reminder, a call, and a preparation for the deciding chapter of history. Trump isn't the Messiah, but he just might be the 21st century Cyrus, a leader God has put in exactly the right place, at exactly the right time, for exactly the right purpose, to pull a whole nation back to the light before the final darkness falls. And that leaves us with one simple message. There's still hope. Not hope in a man, but hope in the one who's working everything behind the curtain. Trump is just the instrument. The blessing, if America truly wakes up, will come straight from the Lord. These four recent events, Barron's rare public profession of faith, Trump gathering pastors into a national prayer group, his open statement saying America needs to turn back to God, and this fresh wave of Christianity spreading around him, they all fit together into one clear picture. An America that's waking up. A leader who's being driven by something way bigger than politics. And a wake-up call that the times are shifting. When you lay them next to the Bible, the message is loud and clear. Nothing here is just coincidence. But the biggest question isn't what Trump is going to do next. It's what we're going to do. If this really is God opening a new door for America and for each of our own walks with Him, then the answer comes down to 3 simple things. Turn back to the Lord, repent, and get our hearts truly clean and ready to meet Him. Because what God's looking for isn't political cheering. He wants hearts that know how to bow and admit we need Him now more than ever. This is the moment each of us has to ask ourselves, am I living like someone who's ready for the day the Lord calls my name? Am I keeping my soul bright, light, and pure? Or am I letting life drag me farther away from Him? These 4 events aren't just news stories. They're like the Lord gently knocking on the door of every heart, asking, are you ready yet? Do you still remember me? And only we can answer that. So right now, this very second, I'm asking you to put your hand on your heart and pray. Ask for forgiveness. Ask for guidance. Ask the Lord to make your heart beautiful, peaceful, and strong enough to stand through whatever's coming. Let Him see real faith, not just words, but a heart that's been woken up. Remember, God isn't looking for perfect people. He's looking for honest ones who truly want to come home. And I'd love for you to drop a prayer or an honest thought in the comments about what these 4 events mean to you. Don't worry about making it sound pretty. It's the heart that matters, not the words. Who knows? Your prayer might touch someone who really needs hope right now, and you might become the little light God uses to lift somebody else up. If you believe what's happening isn't random, if you feel that quiet call from the Lord, go ahead and hit like, share this video, and subscribe so we can keep walking this journey together, watching what the Bible is unfolding right in front of us. Every like and share helps this message travel farther, straight to the folks who need to wake up. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end. May the peace of the Lord cover you, your family, and everyone you love. And may He get all our hearts ready for what's ahead. Because these aren't ordinary days anymore. And you, yes you, have a part in this story.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Jessica Porter.
And I'm Micah Smith. Here's what we know so far. Kaylee was first reported
along with that wind. Now today, not nearly as windy. There are still.
That storm has made for slow and icy travel to and from the high country today.
Those tornadoes in Colorado always hit out of nowhere, like a warning straight from the sky itself. Out here in Tornado Alley, where the wind can wipe a whole neighborhood off the map in less than a minute, folks get used to storms. But you never really get used to standing in front of something so much bigger than anything a person can understand. The wind howls like an invisible trumpet, spins way up high, then slams down to the ground with a fury nothing can stop. In that moment, I always think of the Bible, Job 38:1. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind. The words are thousands of years old. But when the wind is ripping sheet metal roofs clean off and lifting whole concrete walls like they're paper, those words feel alive in a way that'll give you chills. Just think about it. The buildings we call solid, the stuff we're so proud of building with all our science and steel, one little twist from a tornado and it's gone. Have you ever seen power like that up close? If you have, you know the feeling that we're just dust in the face of God's power. The modern world tricks us into thinking we're tough, that technology and concrete can keep us safe from anything. But the second a tornado touches down, all that confidence shatters like glass. And right there, in those real-life moments, 7 short clips that seem ordinary at first, but turn downright eerie, we get reminded of a simple truth. God doesn't have to shake the whole earth to show who's in charge. Sometimes all He needs is a gust of wind. This video is going to walk you through each of those moments, to show how small we really are, but also to point out the hope the Bible puts right in the middle of the storm. In the end, there's only one question left. Can we spot God's power in winds like that? Stick around until the end, folks. These clips will take you from one wow right into the next. You ready to pay close attention? All right, come along with me and let's look at 7 moments that show just how tiny we are next to the limitless power of God. 1. The storm that broke the strong window so gently, the tornado came out of nowhere. It was a regular Colorado twister, but nobody in the neighborhood thought it would pick that exact moment to unload everything it had. The house was modern, with thick tempered glass an inch thick, and the owner figured he was safe behind something that couldn't be touched. A few seconds later, all that confidence was gone. The wind screamed like metal tearing across the sky, then slammed straight into the glass. No big hit, no flying object, just wind. Something we usually think of as invisible and harmless, pushed right through glass, built to take tons of force. The pane cracked wide open, popped out of its frame, and shattered like cheap glass. The pieces spun through the air like dry leaves getting sucked into a hole. It gives you chills. Something so light and so deadly at the same time, almost showing off, like it didn't even have to try. One hard breath was enough to crush all the fancy technology humans trust. And right then, it made me think of Psalm 29:5. The voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. The Lord breaks the cedars of Lebanon. If his voice can snap the strongest trees, what chance does a piece of glass have? The moment the wind ripped that window out, I thought of Job 38:8-9, where God says, "Who shut in the sea with doors when it burst out from the womb? When I made clouds its garment and thick darkness its swaddling band?" Strange how it fits. Wind busting through glass is a little like the sea being locked up. Both show that God doesn't just watch nature, he runs it. Sure, some folks will say it's just weather, just air pressure, just aerodynamics. The more science explains it, though, the bigger the question gets. Who set those rules in the first place? The Bible never dodges that. In Amos 4:9, God says, "I struck you with scorching wind and mildew." Nature doesn't get mad on its own. Sometimes it's just a tool in the Creator's hand to remind us we're not the center of everything. That's what makes the whole thing beautiful and scary at the same time. A little puff of wind was enough to show how small we really are. If glass built to take thousands of pounds can crumble like dust, how's a proud heart supposed to stand up to the real power of God? In the end, this wasn't just a 5-second video. It was a reminder, a wake-up call, a lesson the wind wrote on the glass and then erased a second later. Because when God shows what he can do, every shield we build, no matter how thick, turns out to be as fragile as dust. Stay humble before him, like that window finally bowed to the wind. 2. The storm that peeled the roof off, like paper in the wind. This Colorado tornado didn't bother with the city this time. It went straight for the countryside, where folks had roofs made of concrete, steel, and heavy metal. The kind of thing people swear can stand up to anything the wind throws at it. Out in the open yard, you could hear people yelling in panic while holding up their phones from more than 200 feet away, half scared to death, half not believing what they were seeing, as the wind started roaring. The wind didn't hit like a punch. No, it came in real gentle-like, almost creepy gentle, slipping underneath the edge of the roof, and then slowly peeling it back layer by layer, like opening a present nobody wanted. Thick metal sheets got ripped off and flung into the sky like they were tissue paper, spinning crazy in that funnel, while the howling sound gave everybody goosebumps. It wasn't destroyed by brute force. It was destroyed so easy, it made your blood run cold. Can you feel the terrifying power in that wind? It looked light as a cloud, but it could gently peel a whole roof right off. What a scary contrast. The real kicker in this whole scene is the deadly difference between how heavy that roof was and how invisible the wind is. A roof built to hold thousands of pounds got peeled like an onion skin, and the storm didn't even look like it was trying. It was just showing off its real strength, reminding us that the stuff we trust to keep us safe is actually pretty flimsy when something way bigger than us shows up. In the middle of all that noise and chaos, a couple of Bible verses come to mind, like they were written for this exact moment. Psalm 107-25. For he commands and raises the stormy wind, which lifts up the waves of the sea. The wind doesn't just happen, it blows because he says so. And watching that roof get torn off brought back Job 1:19. Behold, a great wind came across the desert and struck the four corners of the house, and it fell on the young people, and they died. The wind peeling